Sterling Ink is one of those planner brands I have a lot of history with. I've used different sizes, vertical layouts, horizontal layouts, daily planners, compact planners, and as you can probably tell from my ridiculous stack, I love the smooth Tomoe river paper, the quality of the construction, the variety of sizes, and I'm quite familiar with the planning system. Some have worked beautifully, some were experiments that never really earned a permanent job. Some were filled completely and some were half empty. So instead of going through this collection asking what's pretty, and there are many beautiful planners here, I'm asking the question I'm trying to use for all my 2027 planner decisions. What job would this actually have in my life? So of course I want my planners to spark joy, but they need to earn their place in my planning system. And this year that matters even more because I do not want to finish 2027 with 10 half-used planners that I then feel obligated to archive. There is a lot here this year. The common planner, the core planner, the daily planner, flex planner, booklets, inserts, and now the complete planner with the soft cover. I'm not going to examine every possible combination. I want to focus on the formats that I actually used, what's worked, what didn't, and the few things I'm genuinely considering for 2027. Let's start with a common planner. This is the one I've used the most and I'm most familiar with. I think I've used these for coming on to 5 years now. The common planner is probably the format I associate most strongly with Sterling Ink because I've owned quite a few of them. I have used the B5 vertical. I have used A5 horizontal and vertical, B6 horizontal and vertical. I've tried the same for B6 slim, N1, N2, and mostly in compact, but a few full versions as well. I'll focus on the B5 here because this is the one I really have enjoyed using repeatedly. I've had it for a couple of years in the vertical compact. I love the big canvas. It's great for memory keeping, brainstorming, mind mapping, big picture thinking, notes, projects. However, I don't automatically need another identical B5 vertical this year simply because it worked before. I have other planners coming that may take over the job that the B5 had previously. And I'm trying not to buy the same thing every year without deciding what its next job is. What's great about this launch page is if we scroll down, we can see the layout we want, pick the size we want, and then, so I'll stay with a compact, and then go down to skipping through the pages. So I really love that they've set the page up this way. Now, something working in the past does not automatically give it a job next year. Staying with the common planner though, let's look at the A5. This is where I get into trouble because I really like the horizontal layouts. I've used the horizontal planners, again in B6, B6 Slim as health journals. I really like that format and that kind of focused tracking. The A5 I've used again for different things, financial planning, the vertical for my everyday planner, my master planner. And having the options of horizontal and vertical, again, it could get really confusing as to what I'm using them for. So once we have a clear job and we've asked ourselves ahead of time what has worked in the past, then I think it helps with the ordering. Otherwise, we can get way too overwhelmed and do what I have done in the past and bought more than I needed and had some not last throughout the year. For a few years, I even used the N2, which is the equivalent of the weeks. And again, I love the Hobonichi weeks, but I did not like the cream colored paper, the quotes at the bottom. This being more minimalist and streamlined. For a few years I've used them, but then I found it to be too tight on space. The simplicity was good, but too narrow. So that didn't work for me. I was naturally moving away from the N2 books. The N1, again, I found it to be too compact for space. If you like that more narrow list type of style, it's a great size, no question. But at that point, I'm even curious about exploring the A5 Slim, and I have yet to try an A5 Slim. But again, that means buying more covers. I already have A5 covers and B6 covers. So hopefully one of those would be the size I stay with. I love the cleaner page. I even tried a B6 Slim vertical for 1 year, and it worked. But again, the columns were too narrow for what I need to write in them. Now going back to the sizes. So B6, it worked great as an everyday carry, vertical. Columns were a little tight though. And I found at the end of the year, I had, even in the compact, blank pages I hadn't used. In the A5, worked well, but sometimes a little too large as an everyday carry. And where I'm thinking now is I'm genuinely curious about the 2027 large horizontal planner, possibly A5 or B5. And the role of that is I'm looking at it less as an everyday planner and more as a project overview strategy big picture book. Now I really love that the compact horizontal this year has mulberry in color. That's one of the ones I'm leaning towards because I don't recall the compact coming in mulberry. I have it this year. I'm using the blue horizontal in mist. And in the B5, in the horizontal this year, I think black is the new color. And I've never bought the B5 horizontal before. Like I said, I have a vertical. And in the horizontal, I was going with the A5. I'm looking more at what would be better for YouTube and content projects, larger projects, launches, planning across multiple weeks. I do like that the months are together for something like this, so I can easily flip from month to month to see what I want to tackle. I tend to plan in 12-week cycles. To be able to look at 3 months at a time is great for that. And again, mind maps, brainstorming. It's either between an A5 and a B5. I'll keep you posted which one wins, which one is the better fit. But it's got to be somewhere where I could see the whole week but still have room to think. I don't necessarily need daily pages for this type of work. And I have one that has daily pages and I find I'm not filling them in. So what I need is somewhere to see the structure of what I'm working on and then have space for notes, ideas, and decisions. And again, that's where the compact works for me. There are pages at the end. The question is it too much? The A5 would definitely be easier to handle, easier to carry, still substantial, probably enough room. But the B5, if I stay with the horizontal compact, ample space, true project desk planner, it would live on my desk. Fantastic for mind mapping and overview. And it is large and clearly a desk book. I would not be traveling this. So I don't know what the answer is yet. The question is whether I want something I can move around with or whether I want to intentionally build one project headquarters. This year, the core planner, this is also interesting to me because this is where I could potentially get that large project planning job without necessarily buying a book full of pages I don't need. There's a different paper for the core planners. It does not have the stack of blank pages at the end because it's using the thicker 83 GSM Cosmo Air paper. I have not tried this paper, so curiosity is calling me. But curiosity is also not a job, so before I buy it, I need to know exactly what I'm putting in it. This could become my media YouTube content project book, but I'm still not sure if not having extra pages would be beneficial. I'm considering the B5, again, horizontal here, possibly the A5. So it's between those two sizes. And because I don't need the time slots for projects and big picture thinking, I'm leaning towards the horizontal here. And this comes in 4 different sizes. This is very interesting to me. Similar layout again as the common planner, different paper, and no note pages at the back, or I should say a few notes pages at the back, considerably less than even the compact. One quick thing I forgot to mention, let's go back to the common planner for a moment. This little A6, which is the little rabbit hole I almost fell into last year. I wanted something genuinely tiny that could live in my small purse or crossbody for quick capture, errands, personal tasks, notes while I'm out, phone numbers, random ideas, something I need to remember for later. I don't need this to run my life. I would want it to function almost like an analog inbox. It comes in vertical, but the horizontal, again, compact, is interesting to me. There is only the one color choice in mist. What does the weekly look like though? So I'm worried that it'll be too tight on the left-hand side here. Is the A6 actually too small for me once I start writing? That is the question. And if the answer is yes, maybe the better solution is going back up to a B6 Slim or a B6, which tends to fall into my everyday carry size. Stay tuned for this decision because I haven't decided yet. It has to have a job and it can't just be another cute addition to the shopping cart. Let's go to the daily planner. I have also learned that I love the idea of dedicated daily pages more consistently than I actually used dedicated daily pages. The daily comes with fairy floss this year. I have it in A5 and N1 in tweed. This year I bought the tweed. I've used it maybe a quarter of the year. And the A5 I did use slightly more for lecture notes, Zoom notes, brainstorming. However, these are thicker books, so again, more substantial than I prefer. And they live on my desk. They're too heavy for me to carry around. The reason I tried the N1 this year, thinking it was smaller, and I thought it could become my morning pages, gratitude, affirmations, personal reflections, but I haven't been consistent with it. It's useful information for a future purchase because it is not a reason to duplicate something I already own. I do not think I need another dedicated daily for 2027. For the daily planner, that doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with the planner. It means that particular job wasn't strong enough in my life. Skip ahead here to the complete planner. I actually purchased this for the academic launch just a couple months ago. And at that time, there was no soft cover. I have it in A6, hardcover, vertical, in charcoal. And the complete is really interesting because this year there are more options. I went with the academic again to buy myself more time for the big projects I'm planning ahead. I like looking as far ahead as I can. And since I already own it, I'm going to continue using it, of course. I don't need to replace a perfectly good planner just because the newer version exists. However, if I were buying it fresh today, I would have chosen the soft cover for certain, likely in the black onyx. So this is useful information for a future purchase. It is not a reason to duplicate something I already own, and for that reason I'll leave it. Nice that there's an A6 and a B6. I think the B6 was around before. The A6 I think is a smaller size, or the newer small size. Great options here if you're looking to have everything together. So the way this is set up is you've got your monthly. The months are not all together. Everything flows. If that's a layout that you like, this is a great planner. Quickly go through the Flex Planner and the booklets and inserts. The Flex Planner, it's an interesting concept, but unless I can describe exactly why I need both layouts in one book, I'm not adding it just to experiment. And I like when the lines are already pre-drawn. I don't want to be filling things in. So this is a pass for me. The booklets, this one is interesting because these make sense if you want modular planning without committing to another large bound booklet. Could be useful, not currently a must buy. However, if I'm thinking of a monthly booklet, I may lean towards a B5 or an A5 just for big picture planning without having all the subsequent pages. I have bought these in the past, but again, because I had the compact, I wasn't reaching for them. I may have a purpose for one monthly booklet this year. I don't use inserts. So if you're already in rings, disc bound systems, they're absolutely worth looking at. There's A5 personal and A6 in monthly, weekly, and daily. This just isn't a system I'm trying to build right now. These are a pass for me. This has been a big year of change for me. New projects, more content, more things I want to build, and also some really good reminders that I want more room in my life for experiences. So one thing I'm trying very hard not to do is confuse buying another planning system with actually creating clarity. I've had years where I bought a planner just because I could imagine myself using it and because it was beautiful. Then 3 months later, I've got 6 books with different fragments in my life scattered between them. So for 2027, I want fewer books with stronger jobs. A planner earns its space by making my life easier. A planner earns its space by making my life easier to see, easier to manage, or easier to remember. Strong contenders are the common planner, A5 or B5, horizontal, and compact, likely in onyx. I am still deciding between the A5 or the B5, and also between the common planner or the core. You can see one of them coming into my cart. Now A6 or B6 slim as an everyday carry. There is a B6 core planner that would likely be vertical. Not sure on the color yet, depends on the cover I'm using. I have many covers. I still want to go through them and see which ones I'm going to destash. But again, that only will be if it beats other EDC planners that I'm testing. I have other planners coming for a review. Once I have a chance to review them all, then I'll decide. Probably not going with another daily. I'm not duplicating a B5 vertical just because I've historically loved it, or another complete because I already own one. And random experimental sizes without a defined purpose will be a pass for me as well. Sterling ink order could actually end up being surprisingly small for 2027, and I am okay with that. I would love to know what you're considering from Sterling ink in 2027, but tell me the second part too. What job is it going to have? Are you buying one main planner? Are you splitting work and personal? Are you looking for something portable? Or are you, like me, trying very hard not to build yourself a small planner corporation for 2027? And once I finalize what I'm actually ordering, and once some of the planners I have coming in for review arrive, I'll show you what survived and how I'm planning to use everything together.